inside of the cake to show it off from the outside. So generally speaking, if you see a lot of external ornamentation on a building in Chicago, it's probably a little older for us, anywhere up to the 1920s. Let me give you guys an example of that. In the distance on the right, you see kind of a low off-white colored building, and it has ionic columns lining the top. Everybody see that one? Yes. Those are trying to have fun with architecture. Okay, so let's take another look at this pinkish tan. Right? Hands down. Who here about 4 minutes ago had ever heard of 311 South Wacker Drive? Not so much, right? So think of it like the Sears Tower is the oldest child, born 1973. Everyone knows her. It's a circle of life, you guys. I'm sorry. It's a circle of life. Okay, so we're going to come back to the Sears Tower on our way back. That's just a little preview. Well, let's go ahead and put the name change to a vote. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. The Sears Tower was officially renamed the Willis Tower several years ago, and it has the naming rights through 2025. So who knows what it'll be called after that. But I feel like, you know what, I got hundreds of people in front of me every week on a vote. I'm just going to take a vote. I'm just going to see which one you guys like. I'll say both Willis Tower and Sears Tower. I just want you to cheer for the one you prefer, okay? There's no wrong answer. You ready? The Willis Tower. Because your name is postmodern. How is that the same style as the pink building that we started with? They don't look anything alike. Well, it's because in postmodernism, it's not so much about what they look like as much as it is how they're having fun with architecture. So this one's having fun somehow. I'm actually going to leave that as a cliffhanger for the end of the tour. I'm going to tell you how it's having fun on the way back. You guys hear those trains under there? Right? So why is this building shaped that way? Even without the laundry list of facts and numbers and dates and names, you can always ask yourselves, why is something shaped a certain way? This one has, and I promise this is the nerdiest that I'm going to get, and then I'm going to back off, okay? But all these buildings have some different way to deal with that. This is my first tour of the day, though, and I'm 5'9", so I just got to make sure I'm going to clear these. Yeah, I'm totally fine. Wow, she's so brave. Who said that? So, by the way, just so you guys know, I'm totally used to being on a riverboat, so don't worry about my head whatsoever. I know exactly which bridges I need to watch out for. But I appreciate the concern. So, all these buildings have to have some way to deal with the wind pushing against them. The one that I was just telling you guys about has this really cool thing up towards the top called a tuned sloshing damper. It's 160,000 gallons of water in a massive windows to the right. Now, originally when it was built in 1913, it was of course perfectly symmetrical. Unfortunately, about 10 years after it was built, the city decided that they wanted to widen LaSalle Street when they built that bridge. And so instead of going around the existing building, which would have put a big bend in our otherwise very straight, reliable grid system of streets, they literally just plowed through the building. They just knocked off the base, finished off the edge, no one bugs. Now, one of those hotels that I would recommend you go and check out at street level, in the distance to your right, you see a building that's got gold up on top. It kind of looks like a champagne bottle, so that is the Deco office building lobby. Just remember, visit a place like that, and you're totally allowed to go inside. Love that. Professional valet parking. They do not trust people to park their own cars there anymore. And above that, places to live. So the idea that this architect, Bertrand Goldberg, had when he was building those in the 1960s, he saw people leaving Chicago to go and live in the suburbs. And he knew if the city bleeds people bit by bit to suburban, a linear facade, and up on top you see all that beautiful Beaux-Arts style frosting. You have a colonnade of Corinthian columns, urns, finials, medallions, garlands, a balustrade, urns on top of the balustrade, a tempietto sitting on top of the whole thing. Well, guess what? All that exact architectural terminology is frosting on a cake. So that's going to tell you it's probably older. That's the old London Guarantee and Accident office building from 1920. Behind it, some trees out front, a little dock for a little canoe right in front. You guys would be looking at what was happening in the 1770s in Chicago. And I thought, you know what, today is July 4th, a very important day in America. Silence a little bit and absorb all that information. Grab a drink down at the bar. The bar will be open throughout the entire tour. Use the bathroom. But most importantly, enjoy this view that Captain Ralph is about to give you guys. So just to give you guys a sense of timing, I will be jumping back on the microphone just as we start. Isn't that gorgeous? So officially with my favorite opening shot of my city, everyone, welcome to Chicago. So I've already told you a little bit about what's on the right. Let's take a look at what is on the left. A boatload of people dying to be waved to.
It's blue.
And also, again, these wavy blue buildings. You see what I'm talking about when you're approaching them from the east? The way they're staggered, you can actually see the shape of them a lot better. I had a woman on a tour last year. She was sitting right up front here, and as I'm telling everyone about these buildings, she just out loud goes, "That is a very sexy building." And I was like, yeah, yes, it is. She's got some curves, doesn't she? So, once again, you guys are looking at the St. Regis, third tallest building in the city of Chicago, but most importantly, tallest building in the world designed by a woman, Jeannie Gang.
Wow.
And as a woman-owned business owner, by its physical context, so it curves with where it's located at the curve in the river's confluence point. Green windows for the water in front of it, blue windows for the sky behind it. Isn't that cool? So one way to remember those postmodern buildings, if you take that building from where it's at, try and put it somewhere else, you can put it just a couple blocks away. It'll look nice, but it's not going to make sense because it's taken away from the context that it's referring to in order to have fun with architecture. That's essentially the exact opposite of those modernist, just the cake style boxes. Another name for modernism is literally internationalism, because you can put a black box anywhere in the world and it's really not going to stick out. So now we are coming out of the main branch. We're coming right through the river's confluence point. You can tell where you're at on any map of Chicago because of this oldest building in Chicago. The oldest building in Chicago is about 60 years older than this. It's from the 1830s, but this is from the 1890s. It's called Fulton House, designed by Frank Abbott. It's an old cold storage warehouse. Well, in the 1980s, they converted that into those condos you're looking at, which actually involved a year of letting the building thaw out before they could do anything to it. So it was a huge project. Now, the same architect who led that conversion project actually designed these buildings right next door. I want everyone to take a really good look at these buildings on the left. These are called the River Cottages, residential buildings built in the 1980s. Look at those triangles all over the place. Triangular buttressing for the balconies, diamond-shaped windows. But here's the secret. A diamond is just a bunch of triangles put together. And my personal favorites, this is an Art Deco beauty from 1929, known by its address now, but do me a favor, look at the part with the clock, and just down to the right and the left is really fascinating. The lower middle part used to house a 40,000 square foot trading floor that they didn't want to interrupt with columns to hold up the ceiling. Because think about it, columns are going to get in the way of everyone's trading gestures. So then how do you support the ceiling of a 40,000 square foot room without columns on the inside? Well, what Fujikawa Johnson and Associates did, build a tower on either side, literally leaning out. If you start to miss it and you want to see it again, just go watch the movie Backdraft again. Kurt Russell actually inherits a boat from his dad, and they keep it in the boatyard that's just on the other side of that bridge. All right, the boat has made its final turn. We are going to start making our way back north to get to our dock. So I have a few announcements for you guys, and then I'm going to open it up for any kind of questions that you might have. The first announcement is, I feel like I kind of, they're going to frame the skyline for a really nice shot. So take advantage of it and then have a seat so that we're not all in each other's pictures. All right, so like I mentioned, the way I do my tours, no script, a little bit of cynicism sometimes.